Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Halloween film podcast episode. We're on to the last Universal Studios monster film, and to celebrate its 70th anniversary year, it is the 1954 classic and one of the first 3D movies, The Creature from the Black Lagoon. One of my favorite ones of all time. And I will explain why it's my favorite. We'll get to that later. And I just want to remind you all that my Wi-Fi connection has been a little funny lately. I mean, let's hope there won't be any problems with this episode. Won't be any kind of freezing or connection problems. But anyway, so we have a very special guest here for tonight. He has made some fan-made trailers in his channel, and please welcome back to the monster reporter himself, Nick Adams.
How's it going, buddy? Here. Good to see you. I'm doing great. How are you, Brandon?
I am doing good. I'm glad to have you back. I haven't had you on my channel since for my Godzilla 54 reboot episode.
That's right.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. And we have a guest in the chat. Great to be here.
My uncle.
Oh, that's your uncle?
That is my uncle, and I have a story to share about him and the creature from the Black Lagoon. So, Ron Shaneyfelt, yes, good to have you here.
Yeah, it's been a while since I had some guests in the comments, and because I haven't had any lately in my previous episodes.
It's all good, but yeah, you have a great show. I know you're getting some subscribers. You're getting up there in those subscribers, and you've been cranking out the content, which is awesome.
Yeah, in fact, I just got like 1,110 subscribers.
Woohoo! Yep. Awesome.
So everyone who is watching this, please subscribe to this channel for more podcast episodes coming soon. And I've been such an honor to have you here on here, Nick, to celebrate the Creature from the Black Lagoon's 70th anniversary year. That was released in the same year that this guy came out, Godzilla. Nick? Oh no, he's frozen. Yeah, Nick, he's frozen. Let's give it a moment, guys. Short intermission. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I mean, like I explained in the beginning, there's been some connection problems with my Wi-Fi. I'm sorry, guys. And I don't think I haven't had this problem before, and yeah, it definitely is my Wi-Fi.
We're back.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Now there's like Yep. Now you're frozen again. Oh wait, yeah. Can you hear me well? Can you hear me, Nick?
I can hear you now.
Okay, so and your voice is off the your voice is off your mouth movement again. I don't know what to say, folks. I'm gonna have to restart this episode.
I am here. Did that help?
Yeah, I can hear your voice, and
No picture.
Yeah, it must be
yeah. It might even be mine. I don't know. Things have been going strange with the internet lately.
Yeah,
So
it's been
if this works for a while.
Yeah, and well, yeah, I think it helps. I don't know if you want to restart this episode or just leave it the way it was. I mean,
it's your show. I'm fine with doing this for a little while. Maybe I can get the camera back up and running here in a minute.
Yeah, because it's never happened to me before, and I don't know if the audience here can hear me well. And well, while we're on it, let's get to the show. So we will talk about how we first discovered this film, since it's the 70th anniversary year, and so let's start with you, Nick. How do you first discover this film? Trying to remember back then.
Sure. Yeah, I actually do remember it well. The video store back in my old days where I learned all about Godzilla and Gamera, Gorgo. There was a lot of VHS copies of monster films there at Lee's Video in my little town of Union City, Indiana. And it was like I was just opened up to a whole world of monsters. And not too far from the video cassette Rodan, they weren't in alphabetical order by any stretch. But near Rodan, I do remember seeing this film that had a reptilian looking creature hovering over a lady in a bathing suit, and called The Creature from the Black Lagoon, and a black and white film. So I wasn't so sure about it, but I had seen some black and white films as a kid. You know, when you're a kid, it's like, I don't know, black and white, maybe I could take it, maybe I could leave it. And, you know, now I don't have a problem either way if they're color or black and white. But I do remember renting that video, and it was amazing. I was just hooked on The Creature, the Gill Man. I wanted to see the sequels. Unfortunately, they did not have them in that video store. I did see them a little bit later in life. But yeah, I was hooked on The Creature right away as a secondary monster to my Godzilla and all the other kaiju from Japan.
Great memory, Nick. And that's thank you for sharing your memories of how you discovered this film. And so let's get to me, like how I first discovered this film. Yeah, well, how I first discovered it is it goes way back then. Like before I discover the actual film itself, I remember going to Universal Studios, Florida. I think it was back in 2004 or three. When I was a kid, I remember this restaurant that used to exist back then. It's called Monster Calf. That has all the classic Universal Studios monsters: Frankenstein, the Wolfman, and the Creature from the Black Lagoon. I remember outside of the restaurant, it shows like three of their statues hung over the gift shop, and then inside the restaurant, it shows a little museum sets of them: Frankenstein, Wolfman, and the Creature. And I love the Creature one more because it was in a tank filled with water, because it has some bubbles coming out. And that's how I first discovered that creature, that character, the Creature from the Black Lagoon. And I remember in my local video store, I mean, down in my old home state, and I remember I saw the DVD cover of the film, but I didn't rent it yet. And And what I remember when I watched it for the first time, I remember it was on cable TV lately. That it was on one of the channels of the old classic films. It shows the creature from the Black Lagoon. I did watch it. I think I watched it. I think 2007 or 8. I try to remember. But yeah, that was like the first time I saw that film, and I kind of like it. And I remember buying the DVD collection, the Legacy collection with the trilogy. That's so far I discovered that film.
And isn't it a great film?
Yes, it was. And you show your face again.
I'm back. Excellent. And I see Ron is still in the chat.
Yep.
Uncle Ron, yeah, born in 1955, and this was debuted in 1954. I wouldn't have expected he would have seen it until, when he was a little bit older. But, it's funny how people of the generation that saw this film in theaters were genuinely scared of a film like this. We watch it now. It doesn't seem as scary, but during the time, they hadn't seen films like we have now, the special effects and all of the scare tactics they use. One of the biggest, scariest things during that time was always someone from behind grabbing you on the shoulder real quickly and the music rising up real quickly. That was the trick to scare the audience. And but of course, they also had the 3D, like you mentioned.
Yes. And I gotta say, nigga, you're not freezing or glitching. Your voice matches your mouth movement. Your screen is so much better now.
Excellent. Glad to be here.
Yeah. For now, let's hope it won't happen again. Hope my Wi-Fi will survive. And yeah, so let's talk about the 3D effects. And this is like one of the first films that were released in 3D, right?
It was the first underwater film ever filmed in 3D. So it does have a first. Not the first 3D film. There were others, but it was the first that used the underwater 3D camera.
Yeah, because I did some research of yeah, I remember when they filmed this underwater, they used 2 cameras, is it?
It is a single camera with 2 lenses. So it does have, in a sense, 2 cameras, but it's built into one device so that it gives you the 3D effect of 2 eyes like we have to be able to see reality in 3D. And so that process of a large camera with divers moving it around underwater is a very incredible feat, and how they were able to make that work with all of the scattered debris, seaweed, barnacles, whatever else you want to say that's happening underwater, that they were able to work their magic and get us the 3D gill man to literally come alive and jump out of the screen at people underwater.
Yeah, I've always hoping that this year they will re-release this film in theaters in 3D. I hope they would, but it never happened.
It would be a sweet experience. Yes.
Yeah, not even Phantom Events would release this in theaters.
Maybe we need to talk them into it.
Yeah, like they did re-release Jurassic Park in 3D last year for its anniversary, but why not The Creature from the Black Lagoon?
I don't know. I wonder sometimes, but yeah, this one is such a classic. It's so iconic and very unique in the Universal lineup.
Yeah, I heard that this film was filmed somewhere in. They did film the lagoon scene at the Universal Studios Hollywood backlot, and I think they filmed some of it in Florida. Am I correct?
Yes, in the Everglades of Florida, a lot of the shots of the jungle in the background, those scenes were shot there. Some of the other scenes that they used, they had to get a studio environment for the appropriate lighting and shots. They would do that on the Hollywood backlot.
Yeah, I remember that one scene where they're all outside of the boat at night with the little monkey's back sound effect background to it, and then if you look at the background, you could see that it was actually a jungle cardboard background. It was like, eh, I don't know if you remember that scene where they actually painted a jungle background to it.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Interestingly, an audience that would have seen it maybe once or twice in the theaters probably didn't notice that. They were so enthralled with the story and the characters. But now we have it on home video. We have it on Blu-ray, and I have it on 4K. And it's you can see some of those imperfections that might have been lost, to the old days of projected film. And of course, even home video at a certain point, you probably couldn't see that. Now you can see, yeah, that's the extent of the set. There's where it ends back there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're right. Some of those things do reveal themselves in time.
And I just watched that film the other day on Blu-ray with that I have my Universal Monster collections, and I know before the Blu-ray I did have the Legacy DVD collection. I know that when I had the DVD, the original format picture, it has this a regular full screen just like the other Universal Monster classic films had. But when you watch it on Blu-ray, they actually cropped or trimmed the screen picture to widescreen when you have the
Excellent.
Blu-ray version.
Yeah, we can get those, filled out in later home video releases. But yeah, like my Uncle Ron and myself, I have the VHS copy. I won't give it up either because it's a collectible item. It's still good to watch it in that original format. And yeah, there's something about that. But yeah, watching it now, a lot of restoration goes into what you can see. Interestingly, this hasn't been colorized like some other black and white films have been.
Yeah, and I just noticed that the Blu-ray disc, it also has the which way you want to watch it options. There's an option of which way you want to watch it, in 2D or 3D.
Yep.
And yeah, I was gonna hit the 3D thing, but it says you need to have a specific Blu-ray 3D player, and in order to play this in 3D. Sadly, I don't have a 3D Blu-ray player.
I don't either, and I think you need the glasses too.
Yeah, and yeah, I was looking for a pair of 3D glasses of the blue and red one, but I don't have any. And this would be cool to watch this film in 3D at your own home.
That would be incredible.
It makes you feel like you're back in 1954. The way to experience it.
And you notice some of the shots of the creature when he is reaching towards the camera. That was for that 3D effect. That was for the audience in 1954.
I didn't notice, and and let me tell you a very surprise story, Nick. I remember back when I first met my stepdad, when my mom was dating him. I mean, and when my mom first started dating him, I remember visiting his house, and I remember he tells us. Yeah, I remember he tells me that he used to have a pinball machine of the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Oh wow!
I don't know if you noticed there was a pinball machine of it.
I've never seen it. That would be neat to see.
You never. Oh my god! I mean, I just wish my stepdad would still have that pinball machine now, but sadly he gave it away.
Oh, such a collectible item. I love my collectibles, you know? I'll never give up on my collectibles.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, it would be cool to play that classic pinball machine. I mean, yeah, I love the wallpaper. As like that shows in front of the game console, the creature holding the Julie Adams and this amazing art background to it, and I also love the pinball design in the games, like because it shows some. Actually, it doesn't show much of the film, but it actually shows parts of a drive-in.
Well, that makes sense. And I'm curious, did it use the music cues from the creature film?
Not from the film. They use different music for the
Oh,
pinball machine. It's like when you play when after you put quarters in and when you press start to play, this voice saying, "And now on with the show." And it's almost like they were playing the film and then yeah, and it shows some images of some audience wearing 3D glasses and in some of the game console areas. Like, yeah, it's because it was based off a real life event of this film was released in theaters in 3D.
very cool.
Yeah, I just wish I had that pinball machine right now and I would play it. And
Yeah.
yes, so let's talk about the creature himself, about the suit and everything, and I heard there were two stunt doubles for playing the creature, one for land scene and one for water scenes.
That's right. Yes, you had the famous swimmer Riku Browning playing the creature underwater and was an excellent swimmer, excellent physical condition, and was able to endure the times underwater of holding his breath for up to 4 minutes and longer at times, um, and not being able to push out the bubbles that you typically see. So they wanted to make sure that that effect of him literally being a gill man, being able to breathe through his gill slits of his body, and that he would not expel those bubbles. So there couldn't be a breathing apparatus within the suit. But that was a grueling experience, as I understand it, because the suit was difficult sometimes to work in. Sometimes when he fitted on his body, it had to be so perfectly fit. Otherwise, the effect wouldn't be there. And sometimes it would shrink. And if he ever gained weight, put on muscle or any bulk, the suit wasn't fitting correctly. So he had to be very careful about keeping his weight balanced and, not losing too much or not gaining too much either. So I think that going through that process, he should have been credited in the film, as well as Ben Chapman, who played the creature on land. And there's an interesting story too, if you want me to get into some of that.
Yeah, I gotta say that Rick Brown did an amazing job for the swimming scenes for the creature. He's just yeah, and I didn't notice there weren't no bubbles coming out of the creature suit because he has to hold his breath and and all that and I before we get to the other actor who played the land part of the creature, I mean, I think what I heard that these two actors wasn't the original casting choice to play the creature. That Universal was suggested to have Glenn Strange to play the creature, but Glenn Strange passed on that because he wasn't much of a swimmer.
That would have been interesting. I actually don't know much about that story, but I know they got the right guy to play the creature because the proof is in it. History's shown that he became so iconic, and people remember the theme. People remember him swimming with Julie Adams, and the incredible feat of being able to do this, at times not being able to see very well because of the creature outfit that he was wearing, the mask, not being able to allow him to have his eyesight working as well.
Yeah, I gotta say, I was like, when they had the mask over their face, I mean, it's like, I was like, how do they see through it? Like, I mean, there's no like holes on the face that you can see through. I mean,
there are times that they used eye replacements in there to make it look like the creature had eyes underwater. There are times when you see the creature underwater where those are gone, and it literally is cavities. Basically, they're just holes, and they're always kind of black looking, and that's where
I did notice when they filmed the shot of the creature underwater. I noticed that the eyes were black, but when he's going up on land, you can actually see the eyes.
Yep, 2 different suits. There are some differences in both suits because of the 2 different actors' size differences. Riku Browning was a bit smaller than Ben Chapman, so you will notice a difference in the chest. And this is a story from my uncle, who since he met Ben Chapman, he was able to point out that difference. And now that it's there, you will never be able to unsee it. The fact that the creature underwater has 2 columns basically of gills or slits at the chest level, high up on the chest, and there are 3 on Ben Chapman when he's above water.
Why? I did a research about that. It was like, so there were 2 creature suits, if I'm correct, and I didn't, it's like one is like a little few short inches than the other one. I mean, where Rico Brown was the tallest one, right? The swimmer.
I think that he was taller, but Ben Chapman may have been a larger build.
Okay, and I just noticed. I just want to make sure of the sizes and I want to talk about this. This amazing effect of the head when the creature opened his mouth. Like when he opens his mouth, like, that was like amazing effect. I mean, I know sometimes I couldn't tell if he's like a reptile or an amphibian.
And the design, they were kind of going after an old Norse mythology creature, and they're trying to pull from that to make him look like he is somewhat amphibious, but also somewhat human, like he is somehow, lost in time, if you will.
Okay,
I hope I'm still with you.
Yeah, the voice was a little glitch, and it was like, it's the please Wi-Fi don't
okay.
Don't
still with me though?
Yeah, still with you. Now it's back to normal.
Hold it together.
Yeah, this has never happened. Yeah, it happened before, and I was. So where was I? Oh yeah. So anyway, I noticed that when the mouth opens of the head, I mean, especially when he is walking up to the camera, when he's opening his mouth, you could easily see that the gills were moving.
Yes, they really wanted that effect of him, that he's kind of gasping for air, like a fish out of water.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I was, and I just, and also and something, Nick, I just wish they could have add this to the script or plot in the film. That I want a scene where the creature is find an alligator or crocodile. kind of like similar
Yeah.
to King Kong. But when King Kong's find the T-Rex, like it would be cool to have the creature find an alligator or crocodile, but sadly it never happened.
Yeah, they do make mention in the second film that I believe it's the captain of the ship that takes them into the lagoon mentions, oh yeah, that alligator or crocodile or whatever you saw, probably a crocodile. Yeah, the creature could just snap that in half. Well, you know, you teased it. Let's see it. But yeah, sadly, we don't get a creature fight with another creature. We have him fighting against humans, but never against another, sea animal or water animal, if you will.
Yeah, but they did make a model kit of the creature find an alligator. It's like just a little model kit. It's like, and also the creature did fight an animal in The Creature Walks Among Us. Like he fights a cougar or something, or a
That's
mountain
right, he
lion.
does. Yes, in his more human-like state, as he were. Yeah, no longer a gill man, but sadly, yeah, injured and turning into more of a human. I mean, there's so much about that film that is pseudoscience, but it's still a great film, a great creature feature.
Yeah, and we could talk about those films too. Like we'll get to that a little later, and it's yeah, that would be cool. But and I also love the fight scene when he's fight the human, the scientist, when the creature escapes from from the boat cage at night, when he attacks the guy, when it's like claws, and then it's just amazing, and especially the underwater fight. And it's like when the scientists fight the creature and he twists when they twirl underwater, you see a bunch of bubbles swirling around. I just love that part. It's such like amazing effect.
Yeah, and the choreography to be able to do that safely without anyone drowning. Yeah, that would take a lot of practice, a lot of communication, and to make the effect look correct for the film, for the camera. Yeah, that is the danger of underwater shooting. There's always the case that somebody's going to get injured or get trapped underwater in some form, lose their breathing apparatus, whatever it takes. They have to be very professional and very well rehearsed on what they're going to do.
Yeah, and they did explain in the film that how the creature appeared, like where did it came from, like did they say that in the opening or where it came from, like that existed 100 million years ago? That
Yeah, it's interesting. The whole idea was that they open with the Big Bang and creation, and which are somewhat two differing theories of origins of life and all. So somehow this is a lost in time missing link of some sort. Interesting, that whole idea of a missing link rather than it being between apes and man. This one's actually between fish and man. And they even make reference to that if you've seen the movie Monsters versus Aliens. The gill man, essentially creature that they have in that, he's literally called the missing link in that one. Right. So there's something that
I
they're
love
trying
that
to
film.
go after. Oh, it's a great film, isn't it?
Yeah, Papa's a little out of shape. Yeah. Who wants to go swim in the lake?
I know.
Yeah, I love that. I love that pool scene. It's like chlorine in my eyes. uh, and you're frozen again. And
Am I frozen?
You're back. Nope, you're back to normal again.
Okay.
Okay, so
hiccup, just a little hiccup.
All right, so yeah, I wanted. I mean, in the film, they didn't mention his name of the missing link or Gill man. I mean, they don't call the creature any names. They just and but yeah, some people call him the Gill Man. I mean but but they never call him the missing link. I don't
That's right.
understand.
And in the first film, they never call him the Gill Man, but in subsequent films, the second and third films, they refer to him as that because he needs some sort of name. And Creature from the Black Lagoon always is a big mouthful when I want to make a title for a YouTube video or, whatever, when I want to text it, have you seen the Creature from the Black Lagoon? And it's like, can I just say the Gill Man, to keep things kind of brief. So yeah, they at least tried to give him somewhat of a shorter name as a sort of nickname, if you will, being Gill Man. So that works. Missing Link's still longer. Yeah, so Gill Man works.
Yeah. So let's talk about the beauty who charmed the creature, Julie Adams. I gotta say, Julie Adams did an amazing job in this film, and that she played Kate in it, and I gotta say she's like amazing swimmer in this film.
Yeah, very well rehearsed. It's also a film during a time where you think, if I'm going to be in a monster movie, am I going to have a career after this? And so to take the risk and be in something like this, it could have bombed in the theaters. It could have been just another footnote in history, but they really took it seriously. And, that's why I think this film has lasted the test of time, where it's not considered, in my opinion, B movie. B movie was always the second in a double feature. This would not be considered the B movie material. There was definitely B movie 1950s movies out there, but this one was definitely higher up on the list. And the fact that she was not just a background character. She was very much a main character in this, whereas women during the 1950s might have been pushed back further to the back. You're just the love interest, or you're just the damsel in distress. She was that, but she was also very much a scientist who was, very involved in what was happening with the other science crew that was there, the other men that were there. So and treating her with the respect that she deserves.
Yeah, she is a scientist in this too, and some people say that she is like a hot scientist because in the scene when before she goes into the lagoon swimming, she's like took off her skirt and it shows her full bathing suit. It was like, yeah, I bet the audience would be like.
And during that time, that would have been considered a very unique and revealing bathing suit for that time. Today, by today's standards, not so much, but for the 1950s, yes, that was very ahead of its time.
Yeah, and I bet the audience, when they saw this film when it first released in 1954, and then I bet when the young audience, like the kids, like especially the boys, are just. They just amazed of Julie Adams' swimming scenes when the creature first saw her in underwater, and then I bet the audience back then fell in love with Julie Adams' character, and yes, and they even show some photos of the creature and Julie Adams, like some amazing model shots. And Julie Adams will always be remembered as the beauty who charmed the creature, that she passed away in 2017.
Yeah, very sadly, I don't believe there's too many left, if any, from the Creature original cast and crew that are still around. We lost Riku Browning last year in 2023, and I believe we lost Ben Chapman maybe in somewhere around was it 2017, something like that? But I know he passed first of the two Creature Gilman, actors. Again, yeah, my uncle had fond memories of meeting him in Hawaii, and had some stories to share with me about that encounter, and some autographs and some pictures. just an incredible opportunity he had.
Wow. So Rick O'Brien was the last creature survival uh, as for this film.
I believe so. Living till 2023, well into his 90s.
Wow. That's that's like so amazing. Like, and also I noticed when the creature when he's underwater, when he looked up and saw Kate swimming above, I mean, it just shows her body like swimming above the surface. I thought that scene looked very similar. That's, I mean, that scene is almost like references to Jaws, but before Jaws was exist.
Yeah, this one gets there's a lot of films that pay homage to the creature. When we think of even the fact that we had this group of people that are just trying to survive in the wilderness, and the creature is picking them off one by one. I think of films like Alien and other survival horror films where somebody is taken out of their element on some sort of expedition. They're in an environment that's alien to them. That's not their environment. They don't live in this environment, but they're visitors there. And now they're trapped and they're trying to get out. And the creature's trying to kill them all. So, yeah, it's very much like the movie Alien when I think of it.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I mean, when I know I mentioned that the creature discovers Kate in the water when he first saw her. I mean, yeah, I know I did mention those references to Jaws. I mean, it's almost like that moment. It's like the creature the creature thought it was like another creature of his kind. That he started and fell in love with. It's almost like he's never seen any creature like that before. It's like the first time he saw one. Like,
well, and you notice he keeps coming after her constantly. The men, he's picking them off. They're a threat to him, but she is who he wants to take back to his lair and keep. So yeah, there is something about that. The fact that she is, like him in the sense that two legs, two arms, not like a fish, but something that's like me. And there's a communication, there's a draw there that he has to her. And so that's why they were, kind of going after the idea of the King Kong Beauty and the Beast again, idea that Kong, he has the lady in his hands, but he's not harming her. He's there to care for her and keep her around. But again, it's him going after the beauty that ends up killing the beast. Now, he kept coming back for sequels. King Kong lives on, so we can't keep a good monster down, right?
Yeah, and also, like, the bathing suit that Julie Adams wear, they before that, I mean, the filmmakers were gonna buy an actual bathing suit for her from the store, but the studio wanted to build and make a Pacific bathing suit for Julie Adams to wear. It's like, so they actually make one for the set. They did not.
That would make sense.
Yeah, they did not buy one from any store.
I can see why they would do something like that, something unique that is just on this film. I haven't done much research, let's say, on the bathing suit for Julie Adams, but I'll leave that up to you.
Yeah. And also, I don't know if you noticed, but there is the one scene when the creature took Kate back to his lair, and that when they're filming this, I mean, who is the actor who played the land creature part?
That would be Mr. Ben Chapman.
Ben Chapman. He when he was carrying Julie, is like in his arms. I mean, when they walks through his layer of this, his layer are full like rocks for the walls, and when they were filming that, when first of all, Ben Chapman couldn't see where he's going with that head on of the mask, and suddenly when he was walking, he actually Julie Adams bumped her head on one of the rocks on the walls, but Ben just keep walking, and he couldn't hear out of the head or see through it. I mean, so the the filmmaker had to yell cut, and Julie has to kick him to let him know that she has been injured a little. So there was an image of a nurse checking Julie, and then the filmmakers and the Ben Chapman crowded her to make sure she's all right, and then she has to sit down. Julie has to sat down for a little bit, and until she ready to get back up and get started. So she did. She actually sat down for a while and then back up and start filming again.
That's right. She was a real trooper. She kept going with the scene. We know how the creature outfits are, not just the creature outfits, but in our kaiju world, the tokusatsu. How many injuries did Haru Nakajima go through, and all of the other suit actors who went through the grueling experience? But they just kept coming back, and they were very dedicated to their craft to be able to finish the scene, because every moment we're spending on set is a very expensive and time-consuming. You know, it may seem like it's only an hour and a half movie, but the amount of time that it takes to film it, edit it, get everything ready for it, the pre-production, the post-production, the marketing, they were trying to make sure that they came in under cost. And again, just being troopers at what they do. And that's just a good memory that they all have of what happened on that. But yeah, that's a famous story that it gets told a lot about her getting her head bumped on those rocks.
Yeah. And I think there was another shot in the film that if you look closely, if you look carefully of the creature holding Julie, I mean, I think you could tell, you could see that they actually put makeup on her wound spot on her head.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know if I actually caught that shot when I was watching film, but I have to look back to that. So yeah, it was very interesting of that part, and what my favorite part is when two guys were fighting, and one of them were trying to get out of here, but one of them wants to capture the creature and alive for display. That's kind of sounds similar to King Kong.
That's right.
Who was that main actor who saves Kate at the end? I mean, who's the main scientist? Is it?
I'm trying to remember his name. Richard Carlson. You're right.
Yeah, Richard Carlson. He does an amazing job as the hero in this, and he was also. And I didn't know him in Abbott and Costello Hold That Ghost.
That's right.
1941.
And if you remember, It Came from Outer Space, another film where he is the leading man.
And that film was also in 3D, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when I watch these classic films with my dad, that me and him will recognize these actors from other Universal Studios monsters and from Abbott Costello movies.
Yeah, and then the Universal Studio system, of course, you'll see them in other Universal products, because in a sense they were kind of owned by the studio. It's not like in Japan where there may be one or two or three studios making films. The Hollywood system, of course, had that studio system, and they were under contract. And a lot of the times it wasn't up to the actors and their agents to decide whether or not they wanted to be in a film. They were told by your boss at the studio, you will be in this film. And so they would pick you that sort of way. And, so the studio system is something that doesn't exist any longer. Now, every one of the actors are free agents, and they have they're freelancers with an agent attached to them. They're not owned by the studio, so they can take roles for other studios. But yeah, you'll see a lot of Universal films with some of these actors recurring as either leading or backup. You'll even see the directors of these films being contracted to other Universal projects. But yeah, the stuntmen are kind of a different story, because that's a specific craft. And maybe if I could just take a minute and talk a little about my uncle's experience meeting Ben Chapman, the land creature.
Sure.
I would love to share the photos, but it seems as though every time my camera's on,
I know that. Yeah.
So, but we'll maintain. I can still be heard.
Yeah.
So yeah, my uncle Ron Shaneyfelt was one of my, just favorite people to be around. He is just incredible. He's a geek like me. He's a nerd like me. Sorry, Uncle Ron, but
that's okay. I'm like a nerd too.
We all are, yes, and we'll wear it as a badge of honor. He was one that we shared so many interests together. We were into Star Wars, Star Trek, and I could talk about creature features to him. Just amazing. How much we had in common, and in the tech world too. And he's, very much a scientist. Yeah. Yes, there he is. Yeah. And so, yeah, his visit to Hawaii in the 1990s, late 1990s, I think it was in fact 1999. Yes. I'm looking at the picture now. Dated 1999. My uncle was at a convention there with collectibles and different items. And there was a display set up, an exhibit of the creature from the Black Lagoon. And he was interested in seeing this. He had a friend who was, checking things out, and it was, just interesting to him. And so when he got in there, he started talking to Ben Chapman, who he didn't know he was the creature. He was talking to the gill man, the one who was on the deck of that boat and carrying Julie Adams, and, just had a wonderful time speaking with him, meeting him and his wife, Ben and Ben's wife, and getting pictures, getting autographs, and learning a lot about the movie making process, the fact that the both actors were not credited. You won't see their names in the credits for this film, Riku Browning and Ben Chapman, because the director and producers, executives, they all wanted to make sure that this seemed like the creature was a real creature, that there's no person inside of him, even though us at home, we all know there is a person inside of, there's an actor. There is no real creature that they found in the Black Lagoon, but to keep the mystery of that and the realism, let's say, of the creature, they wanted to give them no credits. Of course, they got paid for their work. Ben Chapman, my uncle was able to see his contract, and I believe he was only paid something to the effect of $300 to be the creature.
That is insane.
Yeah. So thinking about how much that goes in 1954, due to inflation for today, I don't even want to do the math, but still not a lot, not a lot for the beating that they took. So yeah, they hit it off well. My uncle and Ben said Ben was an absolutely friendly, personable, amazing person. Spent a lot of time with him answering questions, and they developed a good friendship out of this. And it's something that I'll always be envious of, that I didn't have the chance to meet Mr. Browning before his passing. But I have a lot of that. There's probably people that you would have loved to met before their passing. Like Ray Harry, one of my other creature designers.
Yeah.
Hope I'm still with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wish I could have met them and all that. And Nick, and I don't know if you noticed, but I know I did mention about Universal Monsters and Abbott Costello that my dad has noticed with the actors who are in both films, and I just noticed that And I don't know if you noticed, but Abbott and Costello did make a short film called Abbott and Costello Meet the Creature from the Black Lagoon.
That's right.
They made a short one, and when they visit the Universal Studios backlot, when they in a room full of costumes and designs, and suddenly one of them came to life around Lou Costello, and then including the Frankenstein monster, and I think he's played by Lon Chaney Jr. in this one.
Well, that would make sense. All right. Lon Chaney, definitely one who didn't mind being in the outfits of Universal monsters, both Frankenstein and the Wolfman. I'm sure. Yeah. And he's also played a version of Dracula, Alucard. So, yeah. Great actor, great studio actor for the Universal Monsters collection is our good friend Lon Chaney Jr. But yes, the creatures made other appearances out there. I know that he was in a episode of the Munsters. I think his name was something to the effect of like Uncle Gilly or Gil, something like that. So yeah, every once in a while, I think they got a little bit more mileage out of that creature suit, more than just in, this film trilogy.
Yeah, and yeah, that would be cool if they have a long full movie of Abbott and Costello Meet the Creature, but sadly it never happened. Just for a short film, it was only I think it was like a 5 or 10 minute short film. I mean,
yeah, it's out there. You can check it out on the internet. You can find it and see some good Abbott and Costello comedy. Of course, Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy and Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. Also great films to add to your Universal collection, because if you like monsters and you like comedy, you got to watch those. And Young Frankenstein, another great classic comedy.
Yeah. If you know, Young Frankenstein is owned by Mel Brooks and 20th Century Fox.
That's right.
Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, wow. It's been almost an hour. And so let's talk about the sequels.
Okay.
Yeah. Which I don't watch the sequels that much. I mean, I usually watch the original film, but I think the last time I watched Revenge of the Creature I watched it last year, but The Creature Walks Among Us, not as much as I remember.
Yeah, the original is the one to keep coming back to, but I still enjoy watching the other two films every once in a while. I get the urge to check out, The Revenge of the Creature, especially since Mystery Science Theater did get the chance to do commentary on that one, which was the first episode on the Sci-Fi Channel version of Mystery Science Theater. So the fact that they got a big film like Revenge of the Creature to do, which is still beloved, but it's okay to riff on it. I'm good with that.
Yeah, I just noticed that Mystery Science Theater did make an episode of that when they're watching Revenge of the Creature, and good thing they didn't do one of the original, because the original is always the best, and I don't want them to make fun of it.
Sacred property, yes.
And I love the part when Mystery Science, when they saw the creature does like this and on the water and in a tank in amusement park. I like when they say, "What you're about to see is an illusion."
That's right. Yes, I still like the third one a little bit better than the second one. I like Creature Walks Among Us because it's so different than the other films. It is disappointing not to get a creature in the water and as much underwater scenes. We have some, and they're good. They are good. But yeah, it is such a deviation from the first film, and does go and explore kind of a new area. But it's funny. He's hardly the antagonist. He's hardly the villain in that film.
Yeah.
It's the lead scientist that's actually the villain. He's got marital issues. He's got issues of just narcissism and feeling like he is in control of everything and going way too far in his science experiments and playing God and all of this. So yeah, he is the real villain of that film, not the creature. Creature's a victim almost.
Yeah. And I just noticed that both films were released in 1955 and 56. The second film was released the year after the original.
That's
And
right. Yeah.
the
Boom, boom,
third
boom.
one, yeah, is how do movie sequels come out that fast? Almost like the same time of the Godzilla Shona, yeah, the sequels were released.
Waste no time. Get right to work. And, you know, don't go through a big corporate or political kind of system. The filmmakers knew what they were doing, and they got right to work scripting things, and it was rapid fire. You know, they got to crank another film out for the industry because you know, we've already made so much money from this one, we've got to milk it for another sequel. You know.
Yeah, and I noticed that in the sequels, I noticed that the in the ending of the original, the creature died. That the guys that just shoot him down and they just let him go back to Lagoon, and he just died like drowning down. And yes, but he came back in the sequel, like, but it, I don't know if like I don't know if this is like the same creature or it's like a different one.
I think they leave that up to a big question mark in the viewer's mind. In my opinion, they didn't kill the creature at the end of the first film. If the first film were to be the only film, it works. You could buy that he passed away. You know, he died in the end of that. He was killed by the humans. The heroes win, and they go riding off into the sunset, and the creature dies. So yeah, that is kind of the fate of most monster movies at the end, is that they're either going to be swept away by something, and it's left up to a big question mark. Is it really the end? Or are they going to come back? And so this one kind of left you with that question mark. Is it really the end? And the second film did that too. And we got a trilogy. We got our third film. And we never saw the creature again.
Yeah.
Though we did see a reimagined creature in another film. You probably know what it is and what I'm thinking about.
Hey. Yeah, and you kind of frozen there, and I can still hear you. You did catch up all that, and yeah, yeah, that's yeah. So the creature
Okay.
keeps
Yeah.
coming.
Did you hear me asking about the other film?
Yeah,
Yeah. Go
yeah.
ahead. Sorry.
I did catch all that. Yeah, you're all good. And yeah, so yeah, so the creature just comes back, and I just noticed. I mean, I don't know if in the ending of Revenge of the Creature, after they shot him down, kind of like in the last film, but when he's drowning down, it's almost like they took stock footage from the original ending.
Yeah, it ends in the same way. Him slowly going sinking into the water. Yeah.
Yeah. Then yes. Yeah, so I gotta say, like Revenge of the Creature, I mean, they brought him back to civilization. They put him in a sea world of amusement park. This kind of sounds similar to Jaws 3D, sort of a little.
Yeah, very much like Jaws 3D. Probably not one of the favorite Jaws that's out there, but it's memorable. Let's just say that.
Yeah, and yeah, since we're almost that time, so let's talk about the music. Like the music background to it. I think you're frozen again, Nick. Can you hear me, Nick? Oh no, I lost him. Not again. Just hang on, folks. It might do a little short intermission. So yeah, I like the music in this film. It was it was it's one of the best soundtracks for this film, and they even reuse it again in the sequels too. You still with me, Nick? Can you hear me? I don't think he hears me. I lost him again. Oh,
I am so sorry. I don't know what's going on. There's shenanigans in the world, I guess.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you catch that what I was saying about the music.
I didn't catch the question about the music, so if you'd ask it again, I'll be glad to answer it.
Yeah, I don't know if your Wi-Fi or mine.
It's a little of both. I think there's a solar flare or an EMP or something. I don't know. It's probably a little of both, but it's probably trying to tell us that we're about to that time. But I'm glad to talk a little bit more if you had a question about music.
Yeah. So anyways, I didn't mention while you were absent we're doing a short intermission that the music score is just awesome. It's one of the best, and they actually reuse it in the sequels, and that's made by the same guy who did the music for The Wolfman, and that's how far I've known. And when I saw this film for the first time when I watched it on cable TV, and I thought the music sounds a little familiar. I was like, "Hey, it's the music from King Kong versus Godzilla."
That's right.
In the American cut.
Absolutely right. They reused that. Universal just dug back into their library and grabbed a few music cues from what they had, which was the creature. And that's why I always think of King Kong versus Godzilla when I'm watching the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Hey, yeah, yeah. I was so shocked that is. I don't know that the music for King Kong versus Godzilla was the actual theme music for the film, but no, it was stock music from Creature. They put in the American cut.
I still think King Kong versus Godzilla works well in its Japanese release with the Akira Ifukube score.
Yep. And I don't know that King Kong versus Godzilla was part of the Universal Studios monster family, and if you know, it doesn't show up that much around Universal Studios theme parks, and
yeah, their beloved property, King Kong, if you will. So yeah, the Toho co-production with Universal. Of course, the American cut's going to be a little different. We're going to have some other scenes shot for the film, and we're going to have a little bit different music for an American audience. But yeah, now seeing it in its Japanese release, it just gives a different flavor to it. But yeah, every once in a while, I still think, wow, the next film I need to watch after I watch The Creature is King Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah, and yeah, so I love the music to this film, and it's one of the best. I mean, I just wish I could find the actual soundtrack to this, like the actual music score. I just hope that if iTunes has that, which it's not, but sadly it's like not there for now.
Well, and you think about it, that music cue for the creature, his theme of every time he appears, is used that often, and you hear it so often that it's almost jarring, because it's so abrupt and how loud it is, compared to the rest of the movie, which can kind of be quiet at times, and then suddenly, bah, 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 you get that music cue, the creature is here.
Yeah, like the creature's here, the creature's here.
That's right.
Yeah, they should make up lyrics for this. Like the creature's here, he's gonna get you.
MST3K did it. Here I am, the creature.
Yeah, Mr. Science Theater's done something like that, and
Amazing.
yeah. Well, Nick, I think we're just about that time. So I want to thank you for joining me in this episode, and even though there's some parts on the stream has some little problems with the Wi-Fi and the glitching and connection problems. I know if it's yours or mine, uh, but I'll edit the description of some parts of there are some freezing or glitching problems. I'll put if to skip through from this time to that. You know, just to skip a little of the Wi-Fi connection problems.
Yeah, I think your audience is good. They know how this goes. It always happens during showtime.
Yeah, I feel this is that gives me a little deja vu. This has happened before in my Godzilla versus Hedorah episode that I did with Alyssa Charpentier, and that she freezed a little bit and she's gone, and then she came back, and I just put the numbers of how to skip through the freezing intermission problem.
Yep, we muddled through it, but we're here.
Yeah, so we did this episode for the creature's 70th anniversary, and I just wish they could re-release this film in theaters of today in 3D. That would be a good experience that you're traveled back in time to 1954.
Yeah, that would be amazing. There is rumors out there of a Creature remake, but I've heard these rumors before. I'll know it when I see it. But we did get a good reimagined version of the Creature in the Monster Squad movie in the 80s, though he wasn't called the Gill Man or Creature from the Black Lagoon or anything. But
yeah,
it was a good homage.
Yeah, I did hear some rumors that about the screenwriter wanted to do a remake of the Creature from the Black Lagoon. And
yeah, again, I've heard this before, so just kind of waiting to see when it really happens.
Yeah, before we wrapped it up, I mean, I want to talk about like we never did get a remake for this film. It never happened. But what I heard back then, Universal almost suggests to do a remake that was back in the 70s and 80s. They almost have John Carpenter, the director of The Thing. They were gonna have him directed the Creature remake film, but it never happened. And they almost went to Peter Jackson to direct this Creature, but in the 90s. But Peter Jackson had another Creature feature he's gonna do, if you know what I mean, King Kong.
That's right. Another Universal property. But yes, that would have been incredible to see a John Carpenter version of the Creature, probably along the lines of The Thing, where it would be John Carpenter's style, very horrific and, memorable in its own sort of way.
Yeah, and let's hope they get a Creature from the Black Lagoon remake. And I've been dreaming about this for years, and you know who will be the perfect actress who will play Kate in this one? My thoughts will be Selena Gomez.
Okay, it could happen,
and I know that she is a Disney actress back then, and then she's been in a show of Only Murders in the Building, and that's my suggestion. I thought she would be the perfect casting choice for playing Kate in the future remake film. And I mean, the reason why is because I'm a huge fan of Selena Gomez. She's my celebrity crush, and not just that. I mean, she kind of does look like Kate from the original film a little bit.
It could happen. Yeah, who knows? And, I'd be interested in seeing who would direct it, if it were someone like Guillermo del Toro, who kind of did a Creature reimagine with Shape of Water, but, I don't know. It wasn't. So, but, Guillermo del Toro's also a big monster fanatic, so I know he could do it probably a good justice.
Yeah, and I thought, and I did a picture of the Gilman design for this remake in the future. Like they should have had the head kind of almost look like a frog head, or cross between a frog or a largemouth bass. If he's like a largemouth bass or a frog, when he opens his mouth, it will actually show his teeth growing out, kind of like Pennywise did in It of the 2017 remake.
Yeah, that's right. And I've also shown people, like the figures of the creature, things like that, and they have said, "Oh, look, it's Abe Sapien," and I was like, "No, you're thinking of Hellboy." But yes, he is somewhat of a creature kind of character, but he talks a lot more elegantly than the creature. Our creature, he doesn't talk at all.
Yeah, well, I just want to say thank you again for joining me in this, and I'm really glad to talk about this classic film, and hopefully I'll have you again on my show someday, Nick.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the invite. It's always good to be part of Autistic Lizard Productions here on YouTube and on your podcast and wherever else you publish your show. And connecting as kaiju content creators or monster content creators here is a great opportunity for us to work together and share ideas and share them with your audience, which my audience to yours to mine. It's a great thing.
Yeah, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more podcast episodes coming soon. And don't forget to subscribe to Nick's channel, the Monster Reporter.
That's right.
They call you Monster Report. Is it report or reporter? I don't.
Monster Report. It's up there.
Sometimes I call you the Monster Reporter.
I'm not a reporter. I'm definitely far from it. But occasionally I'd like to share some news and information. I've got a video coming out soon on Godzilla Day and all the events that are happening this weekend going on. Have a live stream happening on Sunday, November 3rd, which is Godzilla's birthday. And so you're welcome to join us and join in on the chat, say hi, and we'll have some good guests on there, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and thank you all for watching, and a happy Halloween to you all, and to all a happy nightmare. Get it? Because it's Halloween.
Thank you. Yes, perfect.
Yeah. So everybody, right? And now I'm heading towards the Black Lagoon.